What is a disturbing family secret you weren't supposed to find out, but now wish you could forget? My dad spent a long time believing I wasn't his. My mom cheated a lot before my parents divorced, and I'm a solid foot taller than anyone else in either my mom or dad's family and look nothing like him. He never said anything until we were both drunk one night and he brought it up. We've never spoke of it since, and I'm happy to leave it and never try to find out. That's good, don't take a test. I had no reason to think my dad wasn't my biological father. I took a DNA test just for fun to see my heritage. Found out my dad isn't my biological father. I thought it was probably just a shitty test, so I said something to my dad. Turns out my parents had trouble getting pregnant. One of the things they did was done in a way that gave my dad a 50% chance of being my biological father, but in theory would never know. I accidentally ripped that hope away from him, and I felt terrible. Thankfully, it wasn't a case of revealing my mom cheated. The way I look at it, being the biological father doesn't mean anything. It's the man who raises you as your dad, even if they are the same person. The fact that he never treated you differently despite those doubts probably says everything about what kind of father he is. I'm definitely my dad's kid, but due to circumstances, if genetics, I am about 6 inches taller than him and about 150 pounds bigger. My dad is a small, shrimpy guy, and I am not. My mom is also short. It turns out my great-grandfathers on both sides were tall, so it's just something that skipped some generations. My adoptive dad died last year, and I found the paperwork from when he filed for emergency custody of me. He was my uncle by marriage at the time, and it was all disturbing. For years, my bio-fam fed me lies about how my biological mom wanted what's best for me, so she gave me up because she knew she couldn't take care of me, only for me to find out that that was not the case at all. The paperwork is dated for right after my 5th birthday party. Greatest hits include her punching me in my mouth, smoking crack right in front of me, whipping me with a belt so hard it left welts and bruises, watching strangers pay my mother in crack to take her clothes off, being in the bed with my mother and another man, all of us naked. I already knew that I wanted no part of this family, but that really solidified that there was no coming back from everything. I'm a mom myself to 2 amazing kiddos, and I just don't get how you can do that to any child. My biological mother died a couple of months ago, and I felt, and still feel, absolutely nothing. Hi, I'm an adoptive mother. My daughter is 14 and was placed in foster care at age 5 due to abuse and neglect that she doesn't remember. To her bio parents just did drugs and had no money for her, but really they are monsters. I wanted to ask at what age would have been appropriate to find out this information. Should I wait until she is an adult? I guess I'm asking if you found out the information you did as a teen, would that make a difference? I want to wait until she is an adult, but I have a feeling she will need to know sooner. There must be some proven psychology behind constructing this rosy-tinted lie about biological mothers, because it seems like everyone does it. Why is that so important? Do you think you would have preferred it this way, or to be told from the start the truth, in age-appropriate increments, of course? I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm glad you had loving family members in your life. I am so sorry that happened to you, and I'm really glad you were removed from the situation. What a blessing you had family to take you in and stepped up. Not every child has that. My mom on my 18th birthday confessed to me that the man I thought was my dad isn't. She had a fling with a guy in Guatemala and had old passports and love letters to prove it. When I started crying, she played it off as a joke. But then recently I told her I did a DNA test, and it came back that I'm part Latin American, and she went dead quiet and pale in the face. I lied about the DNA test, but because of her reaction, I think I just might take one. I'm sorry, your mom sounds main character manipulative. I took a DNA test when I was 18 and found out my dad wasn't my bio dad. I had no idea, and it was quite a shock. My original dad was someone I hadn't seen much, so it wasn't like I was hurt by that part. Just that from the way I looked, I was so obviously the other guy's kid, and she never told me. My not dad is 66 tall, and my bio dad is 54 tall. I've always been very short. I don't have a relationship with my bio dad, but my older half-brother, but I'm glad I know. My mom also did this my senior year of high school because my parents were divorcing. She wanted to hurt my dad by letting the cat out of the bag. Too bad her plan backfired, and it made me more upset with her than the man who raised me as his own my whole life. Why would she joke about that in the first place? Damn, I like the reverse psychology. Get her. I was told by my mom, adoptive mom, she considered terminating the adoption process because she figured out I had meningitis as an infant and didn't want a child with potential disabilities. She kept it going because it would look bad if she didn't. She says she loves me, and I do believe her. It was just a lot to stomach is all. Compulsive honesty is a problem sometimes. If she was sharing it calmly, it's likely that she feels inadequate as a mother, most moms do at some point, and was sharing it because she kept you, and the keeping you when she was so scared was the best thing she did. Sending you the tightest hug, and as a mother I would have took that to my grave. Anyone can become disabled at any time, it's the human condition. People who absolutely don't want a disabled child shouldn't have children at all, because you can never guarantee a healthy child. But that was before she knew you. It was before she actually became your mother. Thank God for unanswered prayers. When I found out my oldest was going to be a boy, I cried, and if I had gotten what I wanted, I would have totally missed out. There are times we think we know what we want and are sad it didn't happen. It's only later that we can realize just how lucky we got. So in our house, that's when we thank God for unanswered prayers. Finding out my great-uncle repeatedly raped my great-aunt when he would come home from being an OTR trucker. Happened for years until she waited behind the door with a cast iron skillet one night. She clocked him, he went down. She left him there unconscious. He woke the next day. He never raped her again, and they were married another 25 years after that. Oof, my great-grandma always said a woman needed a sturdy rolling pin for their husband. Now I wonder if this is why. Martial rape wasn't even illegal in the whole US until 1993. IDK about other countries. It's horrifying to think what people have put up with. And some members of the GOP are trying to end no-fault divorce, so people would have to prove their partner is abusing them in order to be able to leave. A cast iron skillet one night, she clocked him, he went down. On a related note, here is something noteworthy I read once. Although men physically abusing women is by far the more common scenario, as far as we know, a female abuser killing her male partner is disproportionately common. This is because male abusers generally rely on superior physical strength and perform their violence barehanded, which is easier to control. Meanwhile, female abusers tend to use solid objects when beating their victim, and in that scenario, it is way easier to kill someone by mistake. Hollywood has given most people seriously misinformed ideas of how much blunt force to the head a human can survive. Guess he learned his lesson. My grandma told me one of my great relatives used to be beat by her husband every day when he came home drunk. So one night he passed out on the bed, and she sewed him into the sheets and beat the tar out of him with an iron skillet. Afterwards, she called the cops and told them she killed him. Apparently, she insisted they take out the threads and not ruin her sheets. Her husband did not die and granted her a divorce shortly afterwards. My wonderful, kind stepfather, who raised my brother, and I passed away very suddenly in 2023 of a brain hemorrhage. My mom relocated to another city, and I helped declutter our family home and took all the old laptops to help mom out, one less thing for her to do and deal with. I learned how to open them up and extract the hard drives, and then managed to access the files on them. He had been cheating on my mom 5 years into their relationship before we lived together. There were hundreds of photos and chat logs between him and other women and couples, photos of him in lingerie with other men. It hurts so much to relive. I've just put the hard drive in a bag and hidden it from myself. The worst part is that they got together after my dad cheated on my mom, and I thought their love story was magical. He was such a wonderful man and a great father figure. It hurts knowing that parts of him were lies loudly crying face. Recommend that you destroy it instead of hiding it. Knowing that you have it will subconsciously stress you out and could never bring anything positive into your life or your mother's. It must have been so traumatic to discover. Sorry you had to go through that. Isn't it possible that once dad moved in and became a legit father figure and family man, he ended the affair, and he became the upstanding dad you knew and loved? If you didn't read about anything happening after your family moved in together, I'd make that assumption just to give myself peace of mind. Might not be lies. Your mother and him may not have been exclusive while they were living apart. She may have been well aware of what he was into. But what do you think is more likely? Your mother, who became single, went out on the market and had some wild times with a guy who settled down once they were officially and firmly committed together, or he cheated on her. You mentioned him as wonderful and kind. Sexual proclivities of your stepfather and mother aren't something either of us should speculate on, especially since you literally say it's before you were all living together raffle. My entire family is one of those horrible soap opera level ones. Aunt got pregnant by a guy whose family was super religious and hated her guy ended himself, so she told another guy it was his. His family told my cousin not to show up to the funeral because he wasn't his kid. Somehow he didn't know, but I did. I guess people just said shit in front of me assuming I wouldn't remember. Mother was obsessed with this guy at 15. They dated briefly. She didn't get pregnant like she thought she would, so she got with his best friend and tried, saying it was guy one's baby. When the dates didn't match up, she accused guy two of rape. This was a trend that continued throughout her life. Any guy who didn't do what she wanted was accused. I know 3 out of 4 of us have different fathers despite her being married at the time. I guess it never occurred to her that I'd be able to check my blood type against hers and my siblings. My great-grandmother offed herself due to postpartum psychosis. Everyone said she died as the result of childbirth, not that after her 6th back-to-back pregnancy, she hung herself in the middle of ironing laundry, which I think is understandable. You know what? That tracks. You're just standing there, ironing the endless laundry, and whatever last shred of will to live just snaps and you hang yourself. Suicide isn't some big dramatic thing. It's just the sand running out. One moment fails to follow another. This is why people are often left wondering why and looking for a reason, when there is no reason, just the cup flowing over after filling slowly, day by day. That's horrible, but also blood types don't work that way, so that's not a smoking gun. But also, that's so fucked up. I got really into genealogical research during the pandemic and was able to piece together that my father had an affair when I was a kid with the teenage daughter of one of his business associates. I then looked into that guy, as it seemed he allowed it to occur. I then found out that the business associate was arrested when his daughter was little for S-ing a friend of hers from the neighborhood. It was the 70s, so his sentence was basically nothing. I realized he was currently still living in the same house as he did back then, across the street from an elementary school. His crime predated the laws that prohibit offenders from living near schools. He was named in multiple newspaper articles as the kindly man near the school that somehow was always the good Samaritan, stepping in literally any time the slightest thing happened at the school. After school fight in parking lot, hit and run, you name it, he is somehow immediately there. So I called the non-emergency and dropped a dime on him. My dad divorced my mom to be with the teenager, drained my and my siblings' college funds, got married but only once she was 30, had kids, moved to the middle of nowhere. How did you discover all this? Through genealogical research. I've been looking to unravel a family mystery for the last decade, but have hit dead ends at every turn. Good on you for digging and reporting. Clapping light, clapping light, clapping light. Seriously, it's insane what white men got away with 50 years ago. Oh, wait, unamused face. Thank you very much for watching. Put likes, write comments, and wait for new videos on the channel.